Hey guys, it's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides, and as you can see, I'm sitting here inside my Ford Focus RS. Now, before we get into today's video content, I'm sure some of you have already noticed I am wearing a Subaru hat. Now, before you get worried or concerned about any type of copyright or trademark infringement, I did take a picture of the hat, I submitted it to YouTube, and they gave me the thumbs up and green light and said I am good to go to wear a Subaru hat while sitting in a Ford Focus RS. So nothing to worry about. But anyways, with today's review, I wanted to talk about something that a lot of us may overlook, and it's such a crucial thing. And what's kind of cool about it is that it's sort of like a twofer. You're going to be able to get some driving performance out of it and driving pleasure, but you could also customize this thing very, very easily. What we're talking about today is this right here, your shift knob. Now, when you get a manual transmission car from the factory, they're going to put a shift knob on here that's very basic and very general to fit all hands, all types, and that shift knob is going to be a certain weight. All shift knobs have a certain weight to them. The shift knob from the factory is usually a very lightweight shift knob. Now, what that's going to help with, the lighter the shift knob, the easier it is to engage into that like first gear, especially for newer drivers of manual transmission cars. But one thing that you could do to customize and also increase the driving pleasure while operating a manual transmission is by totally changing this shift knob, and that's what I'm going to do today. Even though I really like the look and the feel of the shift knob that comes from Ford that is in the Focus RS, I've decided to change it out, and I'm going to show you just how easy it is and then also explain some of the benefits to you. So what I'm going to do is I went ahead and I did some research and I found a shift knob that best suited my tastes and also when it came to the size and the weight of the shift knob. Now, one thing I wanted to point out is if you look at this box here, this is an original Ford Performance part. So this was actually ordered through Ford, and this is something that is made by Ford. One thing I've always loved about buying things from Ford is that they always have a picture of a GT40. I remember back when I was a kid and I was working at my father's shop, he would get parts from the Ford dealers to install into people's cars. They were motorcraft parts. And I always thought it was so cool. It was so different from the AC Delco parts from General Motors or whatever, that the Ford boxes always had that GT40 on it. And I really like how Ford is putting those still on the label. It really reminds me of my childhood and makes me think back to when I used to go and work with my father at his mechanic shop. But anyways, let me give you a little look of the shift knob that we're going to be putting on. They send it to you really nice in this nice material so it doesn't get damaged. As you can see, this is the Ford Performance shift knob. It's carbon fiber. One thing I really like about this shift knob is I like the size, I like the weight of it, and I really, really, really love that carbon fiber layers that Ford use. You know, you could get all sorts of different carbon fiber pieces for your car. What makes one piece be more expensive than another is the quality of the carbon fiber. And Ford really did a really, really good job with not only putting the carbon fiber, I really like how they labeled the gear positions, and I really, really like, this is one of my favorite parts, is the RS logo. And as you probably saw in my Ford Focus RS review, which if you haven't watched that yet, make sure you click in that playlist and watch the review. A lot of the interior of the car has that light blue color, from the stitching on the steering wheel to the stitching on the seats to the classic RS logo here in this awesome Recaro seat. So it's something that was carried over, and that was one of the reasons why I really liked this, was that it had the RS logo and it was very similar. Plus, like I said, I really like the size and how this fits in the palm of my hand. So once you get your part received, now it's time to make it happen. So it's really, really easy. Now, when it comes to taking off the stock shift knob, you might have to use a little muscle. Don't freak out by that. When they put these on, it's on very tight. So don't think that you're going to break something or strip it or anything like that. Now, one thing that I like to recommend is put the car in neutral. If you put it in neutral while you're twisting and moving it around, you're not going to be messing with any of the synchros inside the gearbox or anything like that. So Put it in neutral, and then you're ready to go ahead and turn. So you're going to turn lefty-loosey, just like my dad used to tell me when I was a kid. And it's going to be quite a bit. So don't think you're just going to turn it once and it's going to come off and you're going to be done with it. So we're going to keep twisting it to the left, and you'll feel it gets looser. And as you can see, there it is. There's our stock shift knob. And I could immediately tell between the Ford Performance one and the stock one, there is a weight difference. I mean, you could even see by the size of the shift knob that this one is larger than your stock one. Now, one thing I want to point out, very, very important, after you get the shift knob off, let me get your attention to focus on the spring. Don't mess with this spring. Leave it there. That's for the reverse lockout. If you lose this spring, you're going to have a problem. So when you're taking it off, just be aware to know that that spring is going to be there. And that is something that is specific to the Ford Focus RS. Depending on the type of car that you have, the manual transmission, it may not have that spring depending on where reverse is and how you get to reverse. But I just wanted to point that out for all the Ford Focus RS owners and also the Ford Focus ST. Same exact setup. So now we're ready to just put on our new shift knob. And you want to make sure you don't cross-thread it. So we're just going to place it on the threaded pieces. Sometimes I like to go to the left a little bit just to make sure everything is lined up. And now we're going to slowly turn to the right. If there's any kind of tension or any kind of difficulty turning it right at the beginning, you might want to stop and then restart it, because what you could possibly be doing is crossing the threads. And if you do that, you're going to damage not only your brand new shift knob, but now you just damage the top of the shifter where the shift knob mounts to. So we're just going to keep on turning. Righty-tighty. We did lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. And keep going. And you want it nice and tight because you don't want to loosen this while you're driving. And there we go. One extra little push. There we have it. We just customized the interior of our car. Plus now, like I said, you have a weighted shift knob on your shifter. Now, let me explain what a weighted shift knob is going to do for you. A shift knob that is heavier is actually going to allow that shifter to slide back and forth through the gears much easier. Another thing that I'm sure you are aware of if you're an experienced driver of a manual transmission, but for some of my viewers out there that are maybe on the younger side and have not been driving manual very long, whenever it comes to driving manual transmission cars, it's not like watching Fast and the Furious where you want to manhandle it and really ram those gears at full strength and really grab onto that ball. The ball should be just placed right in the palm of your hand, and it should be a nice, gentle movement. Really, you should never, ever be grabbing this with all your might and going through the gears. If you're doing that, you could damage those synchros inside your box, and that could cause grinding problems and whatnot. It's one of the things that when I went to racing school to learn how to race cars, that the instructors stress is that when you're on the track and the adrenaline is pumping and you're really focused, you don't want to start really squeezing on that shifter. Not only is it going to wear out your forearm, but you're also going to damage that transmission. So there you have it. Easy peasy. It took us what? Maybe 6 minutes to get this done. Now we have this beautiful shift knob. It's going to feel better while you're driving. You're going to be able to go through those gears nicely and also have a little bit of an extra customized touch. So I want to thank you guys for viewing today's little episode. If you have a ride that you want to have featured on my channel, make sure you put a comment in that comment section. I have a surprise coming up. I had people tell me that they want to see some pickup trucks. I have a special truck. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, but next week I'm going to be filming it. But if you have anything that you would like to see on my channel, let me know. Whether it's yours or somebody else's, I'll make sure to get back to you. And like always, I'll see you guys on the next ride.